Hi, welcome back to this Wednesday edition of Focal Point on AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. You know, and I tell you every day that we are fighting a winnable war. Every day I tell you that, because we are. That if we make our voice heard, if we maintain our values, if we continue to advocate for the public morality that Daniel Webster talked about, that George Washington talked about, we hold our public officials accountable to that standard, we can prevail. Now, we had a big win today with regard to the health care bill. Now, it's not a complete victory, but I've got to say we won this skirmish. Now, we have been asking you over the course of the last few days, I've been asking you for over a week now, to call your congressman. You have one, everybody's got one representative, and we've been urging you to call your congressman and urge them to support Representative Tom Graves' bill to defund Obamacare. Now, Representative Graves' bill, HJR 62, would fund the government, all the government, the entire government, all of it, every last bit of it, except for Obamacare, which means that anybody who was going to shut down government would be somebody that was so intent on maintaining this monstrosity that is Obamacare that they would be willing to shut down the entire government in order to keep this monstrosity alive, to keep its evil heart beating. Well, there was a lot of pushback against this idea from the leadership. Now, originally, Representative Graves had 42 co-sponsors. So 43 sponsors originally. By yesterday afternoon, and maybe that number is higher today, by yesterday afternoon, that number had risen to 70. And the reason that it rose from 43 to 70 is because of your calls. That is the only reason. That is the reason, and the reason alone. You know, I've often said about our politicians, they do not see the light until they feel the heat. And the American people made them feel the heat, and they got the message. So what happened this morning, the Republican caucus met, and they agreed that they are going to bring forward a version of the Tom Graves bill. It's not exactly the Tom Graves bills. I still like the unadorned Tom Graves bill, but as Tom Graves himself said, this is a step in the right direction. Now, what this would do, there's going to be a vote on this thing on Friday, so we'll give you a little more information tomorrow, and I think we're probably going to encourage you to call your congressman again tomorrow and urge them to vote for this thing. But I'm looking at a piece from this morning's New York Times describing what is going on here. Let me play a couple of sound bites before we get back to that. Rob, let's just grab clip number one. This is President Obama. He's on Telemundo, so he's spending more time with Spanish-speaking media, Univision and Telemundo, even than he seems to be spending with American media. But and he's asked by this Jose Diaz-Balart, who is the anchor. He says, look, the latest NBC Wall Street Journal poll shows that Americans oppose it. In fact, I'm looking at a summary of the polling data on Obamacare. 68%, according to a Fox News poll, are concerned about the impact Obamacare is going to have on their personal health care. 57%, according to CNN, flatly oppose Obamacare. 52%, according to NBC News Wall Street Journal, believe that Obamacare is going to increase their health care costs. And 51%, according to Rasmussen, are fine with a shutdown. They want government to shut down to stop Obamacare. Here are the details. 51%, according to Rasmussen, I'm looking right at their story, 51% favor a government shutdown until Congress cuts health care funding. Only 40% of the American people don't want a shutdown. They are perfectly willing. In fact, they want government to shut down until Congress comes to some kind of agreement about what's going to happen on Obamacare. So again, it's just hard to, you look at these numbers, 68%, according to Fox, worried about the impact it's going to have. You wonder why they aren't all on board with this. Is clearly a winner with the American people. So anyway, this anchor, Jose Diaz-Balart, asked Obama a question talking about these polling data. And, and he asked President Obama, is everybody in America wrong about Obamacare? Let's listen.
The Affordable Care Act takes effect next month. The latest NBC Wall Street Journal poll shows Americans oppose it, believing it will produce damaging results. 52% believe the law will raise their health care costs. Is everybody wrong?
Yes, they are.
That interview was broadcast on Telemundo tonight. The president explained what he's up against in trying to sell the merits of the Affordable Care Act.
The problem we have is that over the last 4 years, billions of dollars have been spent misinforming people about what this law is about. All the horror stories that were talked about have not come true. It's going to be a good deal, and we expect that once it's fully implemented, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, people will look back and they'll be asking, what was the argument about? Why is everybody fighting this so much?
So President Obama is saying, look, they spent billions of dollars misinforming people. I have no idea what he's talking about. Nobody I know is spending $1 billion on this thing. We have been informing people. We have not been misinforming people. We have been bringing you the truth about Obamacare. And he's saying these horror stories that we're talking about have not come true. We have played you the sound bites of company after company that's laying off workers, cutting the workforce, trimming back on hours, trimming back on health care, not hiring. I got a story in the stack. 41%, this is from yesterday. I don't know where it is exactly in my stack. I think I brought it to yesterday. 41% of small businesses in America are not hiring. So he's talking about these horror stories not coming true. I mean, he's the one that is misinforming the American people. Got another piece here from the New York Times, again from yesterday, about the growing concern over drug costs in Obamacare. A lot of people are on prescription drugs. A lot of them are specialty drugs, and they are completely flying in the dark about what their costs are going to be under Obamacare. This is by Katie Thomas. Among the most troubling questions facing consumers as they shop for insurance under the Obama administration's new health care law is whether the plans will cover the drugs they take, that is, they are taking right now, and how much they will have to pay for them. But with less than 2 weeks remaining until enrollment opens on October 1, the answers are still elusive, and anxiety is growing for consumers whose well-being depends on expensive medication. So thanks to Obama, not only are they going to have to take their specialty drugs for their problem, but because of the anxiety, they're all going to be on Xanax to deal with the anxiety that President Obama is causing them about their prescription meds. States running the marketplaces where the plans will be offered have not released details about which drugs will be covered. Insurers have said little about how much consumers will be asked to contribute or what types of restrictions will be placed on certain medicines. Of the few states that have revealed specifics, some have plans that will require patients to contribute as much as 50% of the cost of the most expensive drugs, and that can run hundreds of dollars a month. That could even run into thousands of dollars a month. Page 2, perhaps more significant, is how much patients will be asked to contribute toward the cost of those drugs. Only a handful of states have released those details, but advocates for patients with chronic diseases and those in the drug industry say they are troubled by what they have seen so far. Many of the plans are requiring that patients taking the most expensive specialty drugs contribute significantly to the cost. For example, in Oregon, among the dozens of plans expected to be offered are standard plans that will ask consumers to pay half the cost of specialty drugs. And the point is, people just simply don't know. There are no answers. You know what the answers are right now because you know what your insurance policy provides for. But under Obamacare, people are completely flying in the dark. Rob, let's grab clip number 3. This is an ABC News piece, Diane Sawyer. And this makes it very clear. Look, these people, New York Times is right. They're not the only ones that are completely confused about what Obamacare is going to provide, what ABC News is saying. And here's the interesting, this is stuff that we have been saying from day one. And now finally it's becoming so obvious and so apparent and so transparent that even the mainstream media that has been covering for Obama since the beginning, even they are beginning to get the picture. Here's ABC News on the polling data and the confusion over Obamacare.
But new polls are showing there is a lot of confusion about how all this works. And tonight, ABC's chief business correspondent Rebecca Jarvis says, watch out for the scams taking advantage at this moment.
Tonight, it's one of the fastest growing scams in the country.
I'll tell you one thing, I've learned an expensive lesson.
For Marion Kerr, it started with a phone call to her Nebraska home, someone claiming to be from Washington, D.C., with important changes to her health care.
She says, now you are between the ages of 55 and 75. And I said, no. And she says, what?
Kerr then mistakenly revealed her age, birth date, and in a matter of minutes, her address, social security, and bank information, thinking she was just confirming what the caller already knew.
What was really strange was it needed to be on a recording, which needed to be done within 3 minutes.
They're looking to confuse, they're looking to fear you into making a quick decision.
Scam artists, fly-by-night operations, taking advantage of confusion surrounding the new health care law. Consumer watchdogs say they get complaints every day.
The scammers see it on the news, and they know it's going to be a heightened topic of awareness. That's where these callers, these scammers take advantage.
So even ABC is saying, look, this is ripe for fraud. People are going to steal identity information. They're going to steal social security numbers, IRS information, personal identification number. Identity theft is a huge, huge problem. And even ABC is saying, look, there aren't adequate safeguards in place. A lot of scammers are going to take advantage of it. The number to call if you want to join our conversation today, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. And getting back to close the loop on this winnable war moment, we are going to get a vote on Friday. The House decided this morning, and they're united on this. They're 100% united, according to Kevin McCarthy. Says, I've never seen our caucus more united on this. We're going to have a vote on Friday, a continuing resolution vote. It'll go through the middle of December. Now, I wish it'd go all year. That's why it's not 100% good, but this is a skirmish, and we've won this round. This is a bill that will defund Obamacare. It will fund government through the middle of December, so it's just a short-range bill for another 2.5 months. It will fund the government, but it will defund Obamacare. Starting on October 1, not a dollar, not a dime, not a penny can be spent implementing Obamacare. We're getting the vote we want because we made our voices heard. Back in 2.